In fact, yesterday, those of you who are harumpers, I went into the Russia collusion story again. I wasn't here yesterday. Mark Davis was. But my podcast yesterday was a summary of last week, and I continued with it at the Rump Society yesterday, and I want to again today. But let me go to Jonathan Turley yesterday and 3111 to kick this off. Here's a little more of what Turley said, released specifically coming from what's just been released from Ratliff over at CIA.
What was just released, in my view, undermined the testimony of people like John Brennan. But what Ratcliffe is talking about is exposing it all to show the public exactly what happened. This is the real Russian conspiracy. There wasn't a Russian collusion conspiracy, but there was a Russian conspiracy. It's when John Brennan went into Obama in 2016 and said, we just heard Hillary Clinton is going to come up with a Russian collusion claim to hit Trump in the election. And then months later, it was Brennan, according to these documents, who overruled his own staff to get this infamous dossier included in the intelligence assessment.
Yeah, the Russia collusion storyline is one of the most damaging frauds in American history. It's a fabricated tale designed to not only discredit a president-elect, but also undermine the very foundation of a democratic transition. Declassified documents revealing that Obama administration intelligence used Hillary Clinton's fictional dossier to create a hoax in 2016 and frame Donald Trump as some kind of Russian asset. And now analysis detailed how a planned December 9th of 2016 presidential daily briefing intended to affirm there was no evidence of cyber manipulation of election infrastructure or intended to alter results. That was sidelined. It was scuttled. And this allowed Obama's subsequent order for an intelligence community assessment to fuel unfounded conspiracy theories about Russian vote tampering, and the media went along with it. Legacy media outlets like the New York Times and the Washington Post and CNN and MSNBC, they didn't expose this deception. Instead, they just amplified it. They reported unverified claims from the Steele dossier and anonymous sources, even collecting Pulitzer Prizes for their journalism. This was not a lapse in judgment, ladies and gentlemen. It was tantamount to complicity in serious crimes, including falsifying intelligence, violating civil rights. Journalists who once prided themselves on being adversarial became stenographers for a partisan agenda, driving a story that divided a country and wasted millions on investigations and eroding public trust at the same time. And now that the revelations have emerged, like Tulsi Gabbard's disclosures confirming the origins of the plot, with referrals targeting officials like Brennan and Clapper for potential criminal acts, those same networks choose to bury that story, and they opt for silence instead of self-examination. Turley notes there that the media now engages in a full-court press to kill this story, while key figures secure very lucrative contracts from the cable news outlets, doubling down on their falsehoods. Caroline Levitt aptly pointed out that while these networks hyped the hoax, they now bury the explosive reversals. Even as Tulsi Gabbard's declassifications revealed these discrepancies, figures like Congressman Jim Himes dismissed them as apples and oranges, illustrating the ongoing effort to deflect and downplay. This stands in stark contrast to Watergate, where reporters uncovered abuses that led to a president's resignation. Now, had the press applied similar rigor to the Russiagate investigation, demanding evidence, interrogating motives, revealing the Clinton campaign's involvement, the Democrat Party would have faced undeniable scrutiny, leading to internal reform and genuine accountability from the media. That didn't happen. Instead, we saw a press corps that abandoned any pretense of fairness, becoming an extension of the Democrat Party. And the decline is symptomatic of journalism's broader struggle, battered by economic collapse, eroded trust, and technological upheaval. Traditional revenue has vanished as audiences flock online, leaving media in the dust. Massive layoffs, turning to media outlets online basically means public confidence has plummeted entirely. Bias and sensationalism have driven the public away from these traditional media outlets. That's led to clicks and partisan loyalty and, frankly, a lot of misinformation online because who can you trust anymore? Social media and algorithms now have democratized information, and that's a good thing, but it's shifted from any kind of truth-telling to marketing now. It's an inevitable evolution. Trump has frequently called for revoking the license of biased outlets like CBS, denouncing their fake news scum as a form of election interference. Their wrongdoing lies not only in what they fabricate, but also in what they omit. They provide in-kind contributions, essentially, to Democrats. And Trump's success in lawsuits against these media outlets has resulted in settlements which have made the left crazy. And it underscores the depth of the corruption. Legacy media owes the American public not just apologies, but a significant reckoning. Without accountability, they've endangered democracy as we know it, allowing a narrative to triumph over facts and leading to a weakened republic. And the time for excuses or deflection, it's long past. It's absolutely disgusting what the media's done. And I'm glad it's coming to light, and it will continue to come to light. And I think there's going to be more coming to light this week. There's a piece at the Washington Times, cabal behind the Russia hoax laid bare. Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard's stunning words that President Obama led a treasonous conspiracy to sabotage his incoming successor, Donald Trump, stand as the starkest event so far in the Democrat Party-inspired Russia hoax and its dark history. However, an analysis by the Washington Times shows that Ms. Gabbard's show-stopping press release, it contained one conclusion in her argument that Mr. Obama's political appointees snuffed out professional analysts' opinions. And that's critically important to understand. I talked with Larry O'Connor about this Friday heading into the weekend on his show over at townhall.com, and on Facebook if you ever watch it live. It's fantastic. Larry asked me if I thought Barack Obama would be brought up on any kind of charges. And whether or not, and some people have said, you ought to watch Levin. Levin thinks that this falls outside of the scope of the presidency, and so presidential immunity. Friday as Trump was heading to Scotland, I suppose Mark probably talked about this yesterday. The clip of Trump saying Obama should thank me for presidential immunity. I get what he means. He pushed the issue, and the Supreme Court ultimately. And in fact, it's funny, you'll notice, somebody mentioned this on social media, the president is no longer denying, and most of his advocates are no longer denying. They're just shouting presidential immunity. They don't even want to discuss his guilt or innocence. They just want to shout presidential immunity. It tells you everything you need to know. Not that he didn't do it, but that he's immune from being punished. Anyway, Levin opines that he's not protected, and that this falls outside of the bounds of the presidency, the collusion one. I don't know. I mean, if you're asking me, am I a betting man that Barack Obama is going to be punished? Fast Eddie, look, I don't want to build up this audience into thinking that Barack Obama is going to be dragged before Congress or dragged into a court of law. It ain't happening. He's not going to be treated like Donald Trump was treated. You agree with me or not?
I agree 110%, man. Unfortunately, no. Obama's not going to be perp walked. Obama's not going to be walked into a courtroom. Nope, nothing's going to happen to him.
So I don't want people thinking that's coming or can come. And I appreciate the zeal and the passion, and I hear the argument, and I understand why you feel that way. And on its face, on paper, I agree. It just ain't going to happen. It just won't happen. I do think it's very, very real that guys like John Brennan, James Comey, Clapper, Andrew McCabe over there at CNN, the lovers, as Trump calls them, Peter Strzok and Lisa Page, I think those people are all ripe for the picking. They were all documented, well documented as part of the collusion, and many of them misled Congress and perjured themselves. There are going to be plenty of people to punish. Now, the question is, and I've been asking it at the Harump Society, when will Pam Bondi bring those charges? This is a difficult thing, and we're going to have to be patient. Patience is critically important here, because this can't be done with a snap of the fingers. These criminal referrals are only that. They're referrals. Pam Bondi's in the driver's seat. I know a lot of you, including me, have your misgivings. But it's going to take a minute or two. We'll continue to follow it and keep a sharp eye, both here and at the Harump Society. ChrisStegal.com. Back in a minute.
For full shows, live and on demand, it's Salem News Channel.